joining us now. You can watch him on YouTube as well. Search The Fan Milwaukee on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. He is the one and the only Ty Windisch of the GyroStep podcast. Looks like he just combed his hair. Beard is all nice and trimmed up. Looking good, Ty Windisch.
Season's around the corner. Preseason next week. People are tuning in again, Sparky. I have to look presentable. So,
yeah.
No, excited to join you. And now here, millions on the Fan. So I had to bring my A game for you.
Crazy, man. I remember talking to you like, I don't know, man. I gotta figure this out. We got to figure out a way to get this damn thing back up and going again and having those conversations. And here we are, 6A to 6P every day again. So pretty cool deal. Okay, so I want to get your thoughts on the Bucks. First game coming up already on Monday night, it looks like. So let's start here first. I want to start with a random person that the Bucks got in the offseason that I saw yesterday on social media, a conversation going on. Well, Amir Coffey's on this team no matter what. Like, I don't want to hear anything else. He's going to be on this team no matter what. And then the conversation switched to, okay, well, if he's on this team, then who's not going to be on this team that we're expecting to be on this team? What say you, Ty Windisch?
Well, I think it's interesting. I'm not in the camp that he's on the team no matter what. I know he basically reiterated a couple times, like had really good conversations with Doc, and that's why I signed here. And people are reading that to mean, he's got a spot. I think he's got a shot for a spot. I really do believe it's an open contest for probably the last about 4 spots. I think there's a few different players that could be gone. I think the one everyone has circled is Chris Livingston, because the Bucks have already cut him once this summer and then re-signed him after another good summer league to a guaranteed deal, which was a head scratcher at the time. And if they cut him again, will be another head scratcher. I think the other young guy, I guess, on the chopping block, well, Andre Jackson Jr., of course, right? They pushed back his guarantee date. So not even really counting him. I think it's almost assumed he's less likely to be around at this point because of that action. But also Tyler Smith, last year's second-round pick. You'd hate to cut bait with a player you took in the top 40 just over a year after. But, the spots are tight, and that's a player who I don't think really has a pathway to play when you look at the way the Bucks have built this team. The 3 most entrenched, longest signed, most paid players, we'll put Damian Lillard aside, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Bobby Portis, Myles Turner. I think Tyler Smith is more of a front court player. I don't think there's much opportunity there for him. So I think those young guys, Amir Coffey, are kind of all in competition for 2 spots. I don't think all 4 of them, we know all 4 of them won't be on the real roster when we get to opening night.
So let me see if I got this right. Andre Jackson's in danger of being cut, draft pick. Chris Livingston, that dude, in case you all forgot, his agent was telling everybody in the second round not to draft Chris Livingston because they had a deal with Milwaukee, last pick of the draft, but regardless, still a deal with Milwaukee. So he could have went anywhere else possibly, and they chose to force his way to Milwaukee. So that dude's in danger of being cut. So those are 2 draft picks. AJ Johnson, you traded him. And Tyler Smith, now he's in danger of being cut. As I've said before, and I will say again, it is not fair to John Horst to rip him necessarily for his draft picks. It's not like he gets lottery picks every single year. He trades away draft picks without hesitation because it has to be about now, not the future. However, the same John Horst also has reiterated the last couple of years of wanting to get younger and faster with this Bucks basketball team. And his way to do that was seemingly through the draft. And now all of that is in danger of going up in flames.
Yeah, I think they've been a much better second draft team than they have a draft team, right? Ryan Rollins, not a Bucks draft pick, but a development hit. Technically, they didn't draft AJ Green, but they did bring him in. Certainly a development hit there. And then some of the younger veterans, I'd say they've targeted, who we all knew Gary Trent Jr. could play, but bringing him in on a minimum and then another near minimum, good players have come and taken those spots. And I think you're right in criticizing, hey, if we end up cutting 2 more guys that the Bucks use some of their few draft picks on, that is certainly not going to help anyone saying the team is any good at drafting and developing. They really haven't been for a long time, but I think they're better at developing than they are drafting. And I still think it's a pretty good team. Obviously you'd like to hit on some draft picks at some point. It would help things along quite a bit. But to your other point, they don't use very many, especially very many good ones. So that also makes it difficult. They will have one this year for whatever that, or no, sorry, next year. Never mind. They won't have one this year. Not a first.
Don't worry about it. I'm not too worried about ever, doing a draft show again for the foreseeable future. Back when they sucked, it was like Christmas for it. It was like, all right, the draft's here. Let's go. I remember the Jabari pick partner draft. Man. I was in the hospital, sicker than a dog. and still got my way to the draft for the pick, and then went back home and like died at that point. But I was on it for a few minutes, at least when they made the Jabari Parker pick, because that was Christmas for Bucks fans for so long. And
Yeah.
thank God that hasn't been the case. It's going to be the case once Giannis is done at some point, but so far so good. We don't have to worry about that. Tell me about Myles Turner, Ty Windisch. How do they use Myles Turner? Exactly like they did Brook Lopez, or do you think it'll be a little bit different with Myles Turner?
I think it'll be, I don't want to say significantly different. They're not going to totally throw out everything they did with Brook Lopez. And obviously, a lot of the appeal of Myles Turner is some of the similarities, right? A true big rim protector who can block shots in the paint, has led the league in blocks a couple of seasons, and also space and shoot the three. Those players are quite rare in the league, players who can credibly do both of those things at a high level. And the Bucks went from one to the other, and two of the best of those guys we have right now. It's kind of one of the things we've heard a lot, our podcast is, why haven't they developed a stretch five to replace Brook Lopez? Well, unless you're drafting Victor Wembanyama, there's not a lot of those guys coming into the league that are good at both things. It's really hard. So the spacing on offense is going to be important. The rim protection on defense is going to be important. I think where we'll see differences defensively, and they've talked about this a little bit as camp has started, Turner can move more, right? This seems obvious, but there's a play that sticks out to me from the finals where he goes out and contests a Chet Holmgren three and then sticks with him on the whole drive and then blocks him at the rim. He basically blocks him at the arc and at the rim. No disrespect to Bucks legend Brook Lopez. He just couldn't do that, right? Especially by now age 37, 38. It was just the paint. So they can bring Turner out to the perimeter more, play different coverages. Maybe you're not switching 1 through 5 all the time. This isn't Draymond Green, but you're hedging. You're doing different things to attack screens, which allows your other perimeter defenders to be more aggressive. Like the Bucks went smaller a little bit in the playoffs. Gary Trent Jr. ends up leading the playoffs in steals per game. Like I think you're going to see more of those gambles because you have some more athletic bigs who can recover and do different things and move around the floor more to give you options. And then offensively, sorry, go ahead.
Talking with Ty Windisch, GyroStep podcast. Follow him on Twitter at Ty Windisch, T-I Windisch. Go ahead, continue on. Sorry I interrupted you.
No, you're good. Just offensively, again, just being more mobile is going to help. He's been more of a screener than Lopez, and I think he'll be able to pick and pop a little bit more, which Brook took a lot of threes, but also setting off-ball screens. And they've talked a lot about how he's going to help them play faster. Not that he's going to bring the ball down the court or anything, but he makes really quick hit-ahead passes, and he just gets down the floor faster. And I know the Bucks really want to move in transition more, and they think he will help them do that, as well as, a bunch of other younger players than in years past.
Okay, so explain to me, like I'm 5, how these guards are going to play for this Bucks team if Giannis is bringing up the ball and initiating offense like Doc Rivers keeps talking about. By the way, God bless Doc for taking credit for something Jason Kidd came up with and acting like he invented it this offseason. That's amazing too. But go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, well, it had been a while since we haven't had an all-star point guard here, so I get where Doc maybe wasn't grinding 2016 Bucks tape like we were. It's gonna be a room full of combo guards, basically, right? So to the 5-year-old, I would say, the nominal point guard who the Bucks, or nominal is not a good word to use starting to talk to a 5-year-old. I clearly need to work on how I talk to 5-year-olds. The player who they start at the point guard is not really going to be the point guard, but he's going to do some point guard things. He's going to be like a baby point guard, like a junior point guard. And that's not to denigrate or to speak ill of Kevin Porter Jr., who it seems like is going to start there to start the year, although we'll see. But even Doc recently has said, like, I don't look at them as point guards. I look at them all as guards. And we don't have a point guard centric scheme right now, which means Giannis probably brings the ball up, not all of the time, but a lot of the time. Giannis is initiating actions. So a guard will come up and screen for him and then pop out to the arc and be there ready to shoot a three. Or Turner will, and then roll to the rim, and defenses have to make a call there. But the guards will be there to do something when it's their time. So Giannis is off the court, Giannis is tired, or even just through the flow of a game, Giannis kicks out to maybe the corner after the defense bends a little bit toward Giannis. Okay, now Kevin Porter Jr. gets to play essentially point guard on easy mode, right? That the floor isn't really ready for him. They're more focused on a different guy. Now he can go create or run a ball screen or just try to get to the rim. So I think it's not going to be like Giannis brings it up like Chris Paul and orchestrates actions all over. But I do think there's going to be just more give and take. And it sounds like they want to be faster into things as well. So I think we're going to see some of these young legs maybe even bringing the ball up with Giannis or running with him and trying to get into things quicker than the last 2 years, which has kind of been Dame and Giannis get set up. There's 15 on the shot clock. Let's run something, which as a fan of exciting basketball to watch, I can't wait to see.
I realize this is going to sound like a hot take that I'm about to say. I really don't believe it's a hot take. I believe it's the truth. I think this Bucks team is going to be good. I think this Bucks team maybe could be good enough to win a championship. But in order for that to happen, Kyle Kuzma has to take a major step forward. I know that sounds crazy, but of what they have, him and Kevin Porter Jr. are probably the only two guys that have an opportunity to really be a true number 3 scorer on this team. And Porter Jr., I think, is super talented, and maybe I still don't trust him. He still seems a little all over the place. Kuzma, again, also super talented, but has never really put it together. And if he puts it together and can be that stretch guy that can switch out and defend a bunch of different guys, be that guy can get up and run and create in the open space, that changes everything for this Bucks team. But if he can't shoot worth a damn, I don't see how you ever get over the hump in the playoffs. It really, in my mind, comes down to how good Kyle Kuzma is this year. That might be scary to some like me, but I think that's where we're at right now, Ty.
There was a perturbing practice video shared by Eric Name of The Athletic, I think today. We're just looking around the whole post-practice, and in the back right court, he blames it on a wet spot. You can see in the video he has a wet spot wipe, but the midi was not looking great for Kyle Kuzma in that video. So I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong. I will say there's another option, and I do think it is a huge opportunity. It's an opportunity for everyone on the team, I'd say, besides the front court, which I think is pretty locked in, as I talked about. But all the perimeter players, I think it's a massive opportunity for someone who's unproven or unheralded to step up and either write or rewrite the story of their career, because clearly the infrastructure here is pretty strong. There's just a lot of question marks, and how those questions get answered is going to be everything, of course. But someone like Kuzma, who apparently worked on shooting and understands he needs to be more of a shooter this year and get to the rim, and they don't want him taking mid-rangers, Doc Rivers said. If he can do those things at a high level and defend at a high level, to your point, the Bucks will be really good, and it will change the perception of him as a player. If he can't do those things and the Bucks can't win with him, and it looks like last playoffs, then I would imagine that there's going to be more activity around the trade deadline with another, big salary piece going out, and the Bucks being advantageous to try and bring in someone who can. As we know, they don't sit on their hands. So I do think it's kind of a trial period here in the start of the season to see, is this going to work, or do we have to make a move? Because you look at the salaries, and it's kind of just him and Bobby Portis on the tradable ones. Bobby just re-signed. Everyone loves Bob right now. I think Kuzma is the most obvious guy who would go out at the deadline if things weren't going well.
What kind of flexibility do they have at the deadline to make a move right now?
They've got future picks. I think 1 pick and 1 swap right now. On draft day 26, they'd have 2 firsts they could send or agree to send. So everyone wants to wait until then. But again, as Giannis continues to say, I want to win. I want to win. I was thinking about things.
Don't bring him up. No, don't bring him up with me about this, because you're just going to make me very mad. I'm going to start yelling and screaming again. I did that yesterday. Okay. I've been yelling about this whole Giannis fiasco all summer. Charlie, well, if you could see Charlie shaking his head right now, he would agree. He's sick of me yelling about Giannis as well. I've had my fill of everything involving that conversation.
Me too.
I'm just, I'm done with it. Okay, so I got one more for you, Ty Windisch of the GyroStep podcast. Again, every download your favorite podcasts, watch them on YouTube, all that fun stuff. GyroStep podcast, amazing Bucks coverage. Follow him on Twitter at Ty Windisch. That's T-I Windisch. Where are they in the East in your mind right now as we sit today? I'm not going to have you make a prediction for where they are at the end of the year, but right now in the East, how many teams, what teams are in front of them?
I think they're about 4th. The way I've been breaking it down is I don't think you can really debate that Cleveland or New York are better, because they just had stronger years, and I don't think either of those teams got worse in any real sense. Now, Cleveland's got some injuries, and you could question the New York new coach and everything, but those are good, strong, deep teams. So I would put them ahead. And then I think one of the Pistons, Hawks, Magic will probably be better than them. I don't even know which one. I don't know if it matters which one. I have the Bucks in that tier with those 3, and I think they're going to shake out with the current roster, the Bucks, to be around the second best of those teams. Personally, I like what the Hawks have done and what the Magic have done more than Detroit, which I think didn't take a step forward, and I really have questions about outside of Cade Cunningham. Is there enough there? But Cade Cunningham is sure ascending, and they have a lot of young players they drafted. Atlanta has a lot of good players, kind of the Trae Young question that's always there. And then Orlando, everyone loves Orlando. Paolo Banchero should be a superstar, hasn't been. Him and Franz Wagner have not been able to hit threes. They make the big Desmond Bane trade to hopefully fix their shooting. I just need to see it. My theory on them is I think Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who went there to be the shooter, couldn't do it. I think it's hard when you're the only shooter and you're supposed to provide all the spacing. I think that's a hard job, and we'll see how Desmond Bane does. He's certainly a better player than Caldwell-Pope, but I'm just not sure he's just going to fix everything for them. But they certainly have a lot of talent. And I think those teams have a little more at the top and are a little deeper than Milwaukee as it stands right now. But nobody else has a Giannis, which is a huge advantage.
Charlie, using a big believer of Orlando last year. I was not a big believer of Orlando, and I'm still not a believer of Orlando. I love the Desmond Bane trade. I said when they made it, I thought that was a great deal for them. We'll see how it all goes. But like you said, those other two guys have got to come forward. And if they don't come forward, it's probably the same result. Ty, not only do you have GyroStep podcast talking Bucks, you also have other podcasts with other people involved talking other things. Talk about them.
Yeah, got to shout out our guys. Talk of the Tundra. Newmark and Jordan just had Dusty Everly on, who is all over the place. Dusty's great. And
one of my
they
favorites.
Did a great deep Packers dive on Talk of the Tundra, also on YouTube or wherever you get your pods. So appreciate the opportunity and would love if everyone goes and checks that out. Let's get a bounce back here I know you're just talking Packers. I don't like these last 2 weeks. I need a big win after the bye week. I've got to tell you.
It better be a big win against Browning and the Bengals. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Ty Windisch, thank you so much, man. Always fun. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it as well.
Take care. There he is, Ty Windisch, GyroStep podcast on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call. That's all.